You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 481.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 12th of July, 2021.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, a Russian flight crashes into a cliff, leaving no survivors. A plane landing in Montreal kills a woman riding a lawnmower. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale defending the Baltic Express. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions, electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 481 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the number one all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins in
New York City.
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, Georgia. And joining me today, down by the river in Riverside, California, his hotel studio, world traveler, airplane mechanic, Breitling cognoscenti, fitness hound, and international air freight captain. It's Miami Rick.
Hello, everybody from Southern California. It's always sunny down here. I love it. Weather's great.
And when it rains, it pours, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or something
But,
like that.
sunny.
All right, very good. And also joining us from across the pond in his studio,
in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
he is a professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's
Yeah, I'm going to
Captain Nick.
butt in there before the retard comes.
well, too late.
Hi,
You're
everybody.
here.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it's just it's second go. Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get on with the news.
Stand by for news.
Item 1 is a crash. Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, Antonov 26, AN26, registration Romeo Alpha 26085, performing flight 251 from Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky to Polana, Russia, with 22 passengers and 6 crew, was on approach to Polana in foggy and cloudy conditions when contact with the aircraft was lost. The aircraft has not landed at any airport. The aircraft was later found to have collided with the top of the coastal slope, about 3.8 kilometers, which is about 2.1 nautical miles from the airport. There are no signs of survivors. On July 7th, 2021, Kamchatka's emergency ministry reported rescue and recovery forces, 51 people strong, have reached the wreckage at the foot of the cliff and have so far recovered 9 bodies and identified one of the recovered bodies. The recovery operation is difficult, with winds around 18 meters per second, which is about 35 knots. Waves of 1.5 meters. A visual survey of the area is underway. If weather improves, a helicopter will join the efforts. On the 9th of July, emergency services reported they were able to recover one of the black boxes that will be sent to Moscow for decoding. Several human remains were also recovered. The search for the bodies as well as the second black box are still underway. Rescuers have, in the meantime, reached the top of the cliff. On July 10th, 2021, medical services reported that human remains of all 28 victims have been recovered and are being sent for further examination. Kamchatka's regional government reported contact with the aircraft was lost just when the aircraft was maneuvering to begin the final approach, about 9 kilometers, 5 nautical miles, before the airport at about 1500 local time. The aircraft had departed Petropavlovsk at 12:57 and was estimated to land at 15:05. The aircraft carried 22 passengers and 6 crew. The government also published a list of the passenger names. On July 7th, 2021, Kamchatka's regional government also announced that the captain of the flight had been, who's 35 years old, had been employed with the airline since 2013, had accumulated more than 3,300 flying hours, 750 hours as captain. The first officer flew for the airline for more than a year and accumulated 1,253 total hours and 1,091 hours on type. The flight engineer, 65 years old, was the most experienced of the crew and an old-timer of the Enterprise, and had accumulated 9,300 hours total, 6,900 hours on type. The navigator, wow, big crew, 49 years old, worked for the airline since 2018, having served in state aviation for 11 years. He had 2,090 hours total and 1,263 on type. The crew had flown together for a long time. The aircraft had been properly certified airworthy and had passed the last inspection in the week before the crash. Engineers of the manufacturer had participated in that inspection. The airline stated that the AN-26, that airplane has a service life of up to 35 years, and their aircraft had been sent to the manufacturer where the airframe undergoes a complete overhaul, including engines, for an extension of the service life. Excuse me. Of their 5 AN-26s, 4 had been overhauled already. The 5th was scheduled to be sent to the manufacturer this week and is currently not flying. Rosaviatsia reported the mountains around Polana were covered in clouds. Excuse me. Weather reported, the mountains around the airport were covered in clouds with broken cloud ceiling at 300 meters, which is 1,000 feet MSL, and overcast cloud at 720 meters, 2,400 feet MSL. A Russian pilot provided METARs for Polana about 6.5 hours after the crash. I'm not sure how that's really going to help. That's a considerable amount of time after the crash. And at that point, it was about 4,000 overcast and 15 Celsius, and winds were 190 at 9 meters per second. Okay. According to a NOTAM, all RNAV and RNP instrument approach procedures for Polana were suspended from April 22nd, 2021 to July 22nd, 2021. I'm not sure that they said what approach that they were using when they crashed. They did mention that the coast of the extended runway centerline of Polana's runway 11 raises about 110 meters above the sea and to about 120 meters above sea level in the area of the final position the aircraft was found at. So it looks like a controlled flight into terrain. Here's a photo from the helicopter, and you can see that black mark, and that's they almost cleared that cliff, but not quite.
I'm looking at the. I thought I had a charge for Polana, but I don't. But the runway is only 4,700 feet long, so it's not a long runway. It's 2911.
Can you guess which way he was going, Jeff? Was he seaward heading inland, or?
Yes. Yeah, he was flying over the sea, coming in to the port, so the airport. You see the approximate final position right there, and then the airport is right here. So they were coming in from the northwest, it appears, if this is oriented toward north, which I believe it is. And so
just that I'm looking at all the approach plates, and there's no approach that goes over that piece of terrain.
Yeah, I didn't see that either, Nick. And do they have any ILSs or anything other than RMP or RNAV?
Oh, there it is.
I mean, by the way, this is from the Aviation Herald, and in the Aviation Herald article, we have this approach plate for the RMP runway 11. And as you mentioned, Nick, it doesn't. It's not plotted to fly over that area where they crashed. Let me see. The other one here is the approach to runway 21, I think. No, 29. or 1129. It must be a circle.
It's not an ILS either. It doesn't have the feather. Well, then I don't know if
it looks like an ND, maybe an NDB.
Yeah, it looks like some kind of NDB
because there's that navigation aid there, 285. I can't read Russian, so I'm not really sure, but that looks to me. But even again, I don't know why they were up here, further up on the coastline, more to the north. They lost in the fog. Lost in the fog. Yeah, but maybe they were trying to fly that RNP or RNAV procedure. And they didn't realize that they had been NOTAMed out of service, and maybe they were following some bogus guidance. Perhaps, I don't know. I don't know how that would affect their navigation, because an RMP is generally satellite based, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Interesting. Maybe there was something going on in the area that was causing the satellite signals, interfering with satellite signals and satellite reception, and perhaps they were getting some, bogus data in their airplane.
Yeah, and I mean that's happened to me. There were there are NOTAMs, particularly when I used to operate in the Middle East quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Where the ILS was out, and then there were no GPS approaches available because the GPS signal is going to be jammed for one reason or another. A lot of times military type operations, and so you can't rely on that. So yeah, I don't know if there's something of military value around the area where this happened that could have warranted the signal being turned off, if that's what happened at all. But we don't know that at this point. But
yeah, Ludwig makes a point, but we'd have a double problem if he was coming in on the wrong bearing and had the wrong QNH. That would be two errors, which is probably going to be.
But here's another thing. Remember that in Russia they fly QNE. They land
QFE.
QFE, sorry, QFE. Yeah,
you're welcome.
QFE. Thanks, Nick. Very much.
50%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want to land on 2992. You want to land QFE. There you go. QFE is what you want to land on. Well,
but since it's over coastal,
QFE is a little iffy. Get it, Effie?
Very.
All right.
What the F are you saying?
But since it's a coastal airport, there's not going to be a lot of difference anyway. The airport elevation looks pretty low.
Yeah.
So the two are going to be very similar.
True.
Yeah, precisely. That's true.
Well, it's kind of a mystery. Definitely controlled flight into terrain.
Terrain, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So it could be one or the other of what we had just speculated upon, or perhaps maybe both. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll get an accident investigation report when they start gathering the data, or data, if you prefer. All right. Did you just flip the bird at me, Nick? I just noticed that.
No.
Like this. I'm sorry if I've upset you in some way.
There you go.
Okay.
Very simple.
All right. Let's move on to the next item in our news notebook, and that is this. Again, from the Aviation Herald, avherald.com. A crash. Alianza DC-3 registration Hotel Kilo. I was going to say Hector. Hotel Kilo 2820 performing a test flight from with 3 crew, was climbing out of Villavicencio, Colombia. Would that be right, Nick? How would you say that?
Maybe Rick would know.
I mean, Nick.
I don't know if Nick could.
Rick. I mean, Rick. Rick. You guys need to change your names. It's too similar.
Villavicencio.
Well, that sounds like Italy to me, but this is Colombia. There you go.
Villavicencio.
Okay. About 5 minutes after departure, radar and radio contact was lost. The aircraft had not landed at any airport. It seems to be a theme so far. A search for the missing aircraft was initiated, and the aircraft was found destroyed. All 3 crew perished. Local media reported the crew declared an emergency shortly after departure. The search is currently focusing on the Guataquilla River Canyon east of the aerodrome. Guataquilla?
Guataquilla.
Okay. That was pretty darn close,
good.
wasn't it?
Pretty darn good.
Colombia's civil defense reported the aircraft was on a training mission. It has not yet been found. Colombian authorities have reported that the aircraft had been repaired and was performing a test flight. I guess not repaired well enough. The aircraft is suspected to be in the Guataquilla River Canyon northwest of the aerodrome between the villages of Restrepo and El Calvario at an altitude of about 1,600 to 1,700 meters. In the evening of July 8th, local time, Aerocivil stated that the search and rescue operations trying to locate the aircraft west of Restrepo are going to continue when sufficient daylight is available again. The next day, the wreckage was located in dense undergrowth surrounded by trees, and they had found that the crew had perished. No METARs are available for Sierra Kilo Victor Victor. The local weather station reported at 8 o'clock local, light drizzle, temperature at 22 degrees C, dew point 21, humidity 94%, winds from the west-northwest at 7 kilometers per hour, which is 4 knots, pressure 966 hectopascals. At 11 o'clock local time, there were thunderstorms reported. And here's a picture of the tail of the DC-3. And
that's pretty low pressure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that?
I think.
Low pressure.
Yeah.
And if you look at the temperature dew point spread and you apply the rule of thumb, you take the difference between temperature and pressure, multiply that times 400, gives you generally the altitude of the lowest layer of condensation or cloud. That will only be what, just about.
And what did you come up with there?
What do you got? 21 to 22? It's about 400 feet.
Okay.
That's pretty low.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like here's a picture from Google Earth, the airport down here, and then the final approximate final position over here. It looks like, Colombia is definitely a mountainous country for sure, right?
Yes, particularly in the center, and that happens in all countries in South America. Well, along the west part of South America, all the way from Venezuela all the way down to southern Chile, the Andes run north to south there, and so it gets flying around those that type of terrain and these old aircraft, it can get a little tricky, and I imagine that obviously I don't know if they had. I don't imagine they had ground proximity warning system on an old DC-3. Maybe they did. I don't know. But,
don't know.
Yeah.
Andes is where they make those mints, right? I love those things. Those Andes mints.
Yeah, the green ones.
Yeah.
I was going to say the DC-3, don't they normally dangle some guy down on a rope and he shouts when he sees the ground?
That's the ground ahead.
Yeah.
The ground proximity warning person.
Bloke.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I guess it's a lot of these old airplanes do have at least a some kind of GPS navigation retrofit, and then that has some kind of terrain awareness system. So, but then again, I don't know. That's weird.
It is, and again, hopefully we'll hear something about what they suspect happened here right now. It's just so soon, I guess, that they don't know yet.
Miami Hick says, no, the rope thing is a mad dog thing.
Oh, Miami Hick is here in the chat room. No, that's a mad dog. No, we don't use a rope with somebody dangling on it. We use chickens. Come on, man. Here,
frozen chickens, presumably.
Oh, man.
Frozen chickens, yes. All right. Anything else to be said regarding that, gentlemen, or you two that are here with me on the
sad loss of a vintage airplane?
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Very much so.
Well, speaking of vintage airplanes, here is the next item in our news notebook, and it is regarding this. I don't mean to chuckle. The 737-200, an update on the 737 ditching. NTSB released underwater photos from Transair Boeing 737-200 that crashed into the sea off Honolulu, Hawaii on July 2nd. And if you look really, really closely, right over here behind the tail, I think that's Rick down there searching for the black boxes, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
With my snorkel.
Snorkel. Yeah. You're it's pretty good because it's sitting up to 420 feet down. That's deep.
That's a ways. Absolutely.
Says that's too deep for the divers to get black boxes. Not too deep for Rick, though. And here's another. Looks like the thing separated forward of the wing, and there's the forward portion of the fuselage.
Call that section 41.
You see the bottom data there?
Yeah.
It says temperature, 116 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's pretty dang hot down there.
Okay, really?
I think that must be a miscalibration or something. Wouldn't it have to be pretty darn cold at 420?
It might be the internal temperature of the
camera or the vessel that's taking the picture.
Submarine, remote submarine.
That's probably what it is.
Underwater drone. Yeah.
Well, look at here. It's 439.7 degrees. No, that's not degrees. I don't know what that is. That's depth. 439.7. Yeah. Wow. Heck, that's one of the engines.
Way down.
There.
Well, I can tell what happened. That engine's too short.
Ah. Well, they must have put the wrong engine on it or something.
Yeah, I put the short version.
All right. Well, anyway.
Pretty good photos, though.
It's interesting how if you look at the engine, it looks the blades there look relatively intact, at least on part of the engine there, which I wonder if that engine was turning at all.
Or are those static vanes?
Or those guide vanes?
Yeah, it's JT8D, and I think that those don't move. If I'm correct, if we have an engine, do we have an engine expert in the house? No, we don't. Okay.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, if they're blades, they look pretty intact.
Yeah. Let me see if. Hello. Do you know anything about engines? No, nothing. Got nothing there. All right.
But he knows about water. So
he does.
He's halfway there.
I thought maybe that he'd be able to say something about it, but apparently not. And as far as I know, they haven't really released any other information yet. Have you seen anything regarding that ditching and what could possibly have been the issue?
Hillel knows a little bit. He knows a little.
Oh, Hillel knows a little. Okay. Well, tell us then. Start typing. And in the meantime, we're going to talk about the fact that I believe when we first talked about this last show, Rick, I don't think you were with us.
Yeah, I was in Honolulu, and I was all set to go, and then the internet crashed in the hotel, and then I was trying to get a new room, that didn't work. So that was a bust.
We kind of were thinking that because it was kind of odd for both engines to fail, and so we're wondering if it might have something to do with fuel contamination or. Oh, there we go. There's the engine expert there, Hillel Glazer. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. Okay. Well, same Perfect. To you.
Right back at you.
Yeah, right back at you, man. Kind of rude. So apparently he doesn't really know that much about engines.
Yeah.
But enough to be dangerous. Anything else you might want to speculate upon, Rick?
No, it was just interesting that those are the same engines that you used to fly with on the 727, right?
72, and then
JT8,
and also
the Mad
on
Dog.
On the Mad Dog. Yeah, it's a great engine. Pratt and Whitney.
I was just going to say that because the front half of the aircraft are separated, it looks like it would have flooded and gone under pretty quick. So I think we're going to be able to say hats off to the Coast Guard rescue crew who managed to get both pilots out. And I don't know, because they were quite badly injured, weren't they? I don't know if they managed to get out of their own accord and were just floating around in life vests, but
we do know
nasty
the answer.
Situation. Oh, you do?
Yeah, because I watched the one of the local stations interviewed the Coast Guard pilots, and on a separate one, the Coast Guard rescue swimmer and flight tech. And they said that the one, I think it was the co-pilot, was hanging on to some cargo and that was inside of a cargo net, and then then they noticed that the tail of the 7.3 was still sticking up above the surface of the water, and they could tell that another crew member was like hanging on to that, and then the thing was like they were there when they watched it go under, and then he was kind of struggling, and they said drowning, and they were able to move from the guy that was near the cargo net to the captain that was basically drowning, and rescued him first. And I think he was the
good job, boys.
Yeah, they got out on their own apparently.
Yeah, apparently they did. Mm-hmm.
Which you're right.
Shows what adrenaline can do despite your injuries.
Right?
Can you imagine?
Was the first officer busy opening packages in case there was something interesting?
He might have been.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so that's that. So hopefully we'll hear something soon about what they think may have happened here. Sharing the next item. You may have seen this, those of you watching our show. Virgin Galactic, Sir Richard Branson rockets to the edge of space. And this is from BBC News. And we have a little video that I can play here. And hopefully it'll start where I want it to start. We'll see. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Release.
They released the
clean release
rocket, the
Ignition.
Virgin rocket.
And, good rocket motor burn.
Rocket motor burn. And
there's Mach 1.
Can you hear what
now.
she's saying?
Yep.
Okay. She's not saying anything now.
It gets up to about Mach 3 or something, doesn't it?
It does, I believe.
It goes
Trim
quite quick.
complete. Unity is pointed directly up and heading to space. Things are looking great. We are 25 seconds into the burn now, approaching Mach 2.
There we go. It's going, she said, straight up, pretty much.
30 seconds, Mach 2. Everything's looking really good and stable.
She is so perky.
Yes, she is perky.
40 seconds.
Quite.
45 seconds.
45 seconds. I bet next it's 50 seconds. Oh.
50 seconds, approaching Mach 3.
Nailed it.
Whoa.
Mach 3.
There's Mach 3.
There it is. I can tell by looking at it.
And 60 seconds, and that is a full duration burn, folks. We are headed to space.
Yay!
They run out of
And
fuel
the passengers
already.
in the back have been cleared to unstrap. Our predicted apogee is 279,000 feet.
They'll be
and
serving
climbing.
drinks shortly.
Yeah, they'll be floating
the pilots
around.
are now unlocking the feather, and as soon as they do that, it's going to initiate a backflip for Spaceship Unity. This is normal. We want those windows pointed down towards the Earth to maximize that incredible view.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And we also have a video with billionaire Sir Richard Branson, kind of a special message from space. So here we go.
To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream, looking up to the stars. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship with lots of other wonderful adults looking down to our beautiful, beautiful Earth. To the next generation of dreamers, if we can do this, just imagine what you can do. Yay!
Hey, he's going, I wonder where my favorite captain is. Captain Nick Anderson.
There you go.
You wouldn't want me in charge of that.
That's interesting. That's funny because the detractors saying, well, the craft reached apogee at 279,000 feet. Apparently, Kármán line is at 330,000 feet, and so officially, space begins at 62 nautical miles up, I believe it is. So that's 330,000 feet apparently. And if you reached apogee at 279,000 feet, you're just short. But
that's what she said.
Exactly. That's exactly what she said.
Just a wee bit short.
Just a wee bit short. Oh, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. There's another craft going up on July the 20th. The New Shepard from Blue Origin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. It's the race of the billionaires to get into space.
And they're going to get up above the Kármán line by a healthy margin if things go well. So that's going to be interesting.
Excellent. So this Kármán line, presumably it was thought up by a woman wearing a great big bowl of fruit in her head.
That, or they were listening to Let's see. So they, according to this article, it said the height reached by Sir Richard in the rocket plane known as Unity Also the name of the leisure travel van that I have purchased.
Right.
Was 85 kilometers, which is 202,000 feet, 53 miles. The businessman was accompanied on the mission by the vehicle's two pilots, Dave Mackey and Michael Masucci, and three Galactic employees, Beth Moses, Colin Bennett, and Sarisha Bandla. The latter trio and Sir Richard were presented with commercial astronaut wings after the flight by former space station commander and Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield. Sir Richard billed the flight as a test of the space tourism experience he expects to begin selling to customers from next year. I've had my notebook with me, and I've written down 30 or 40 little things that will make the experience for the next person who goes to space with us that much better, he said. The only way sometimes you can find these little things is to get in a spaceship and go to space and experience it for yourself. Today, space is virgin territory. Oh, I get it. The moment Sir Richard Branson's rocket plane reached its highest altitude, some 600 individuals have already paid deposits for tickets that will cost them up to $250,000 US, 180,000 pounds. These are all people who want to reach a height where they can see the sky turn black and marvel at the Earth's horizon as it curves away into the distance. Such a flight should also afford them about 5 minutes of weightlessness, during which they will be allowed to float around inside Unity's cabin. It's been a long road for Sir Richard to get to this point. He first announced his intention to make a spaceplane in 2004 with the belief he could start a commercial service by 2007. But technical difficulties, including a fatal crash during a development flight in 2014, have made the space project one of the most challenging ventures of his career. There's a picture there of the two pilots on either end, and then the ones that have the gold material on their right legs are the passengers, including Sir Richard Branson. And so interesting stuff going on. They said that California tech entrepreneur Elon Musk, of course, now he lives in Austin, Texas, I believe. He actually went out to the spaceport in Arizona to support this whole thing, which was kind of nice of him to do. After all, his space exploits are considerably more sophisticated. Yeah. But, Yeah, and following the flight, Mr. Bezos sent his congratulations to Branson and the Virgin Galactic team. Anyway, and here it talks about that Carmen line. Oh, it's spelled differently than the opera. Oh, well. Yeah.
Is that like Carmen Gia?
Carmen Gia? Oh, yeah, it could be, yeah. Like the Volkswagen car.
Volkswagen, yeah.
Okay, here's a little graphic of the journey, Spaceport America, and they are with that aircraft that launches the vehicle. And I guess this is the only one that kind of uses that sort of technology as opposed to Blue Origin and Elon's rockets that use traditional rocket boosters. Anyway, so pretty cool. It's interesting to see what's going on in the world of space. There's that. Go ahead, Liz.
No. When you're finished, Hillel has a little thing on the engine here he wants to share.
Okay.
But when you're done.
All right. Tell Hillel to get back in the shower and shut up. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Well, that's enough. Anything else to say or add, crew?
No.
Congratulations.
Someone quite correctly said, congratulations to all the Virgin employees who made so much profit that he could afford to do this.
Yeah.
There you go.
And too bad about your retirement that we had to stop to pay for this. I actually found a schematic of the engine. The image looks like just like the master vane disc, which sits behind the front fan. I'd link to the image, but I can't here. Okay. Like the master vane disc. Okay. Oh, it's so vain. All right. And let's move on. I believe we have one more to cover on this portion of the show. Citing a serious flight test incident and lack of design maturity, the FAA slows Boeing 777X certification. This is from the seattletimes.com, and there's a picture of the Boeing 777X series sitting on the ramp that looks like, what is it, Painfield, I believe?
That'd be Pain, yep.
Right, yet another...
I miss flying in there.
Yeah, I'll bet you do. I've never flown in there. And yet another blow to Boeing. The FAA last month formally denied the jet maker permission to move forward with a key step in certifying its forthcoming giant wide-body airplane, the 777X, in a sternly worded letter dated May 13th, which was reviewed by the Seattle Times. The FAA warned Boeing it may have to increase the number of test flights planned, and that certification realistically is now more than 2 years out, probably in late 2023, which is, they add, the month that Jeff will be retiring from his aviation career. How did they know that at the Seattle Times?
It's very clever.
Yeah, that could push the jet's entry into commercial service into early 2024, 4 years later than originally planned. The FAA cited a long litany of concerns, including a serious flight control incident during a test flight on December 8th, 2020, when the plane experienced an uncommanded pitch event. Ooh, that's never good. Meaning the nose of the aircraft pitched abruptly up or down without inputs from the pilots. Boeing has yet to satisfy the FAA that it has fully understood and corrected what went wrong that day. That's even more troubling. The letter was signed by Ian Wan, the manager of the local FAA office that judges whether Boeing has met all regulatory standards. He also told Boeing that a critical avionics system proposed for the airplane does not meet requirements. And he expressed concern about proposed modifications involving late changes to both software and hardware in the electronics of the jet's flight controls. The aircraft is not yet ready, he wrote. The technical data required for its type certification has not reached a point where it appears the aircraft type design is mature and can be expected to meet the applicable regulations. An FAA official who asked not to be identified in order to speak freely said the drag on 777X certification is now the subject of a lot of attention at high levels, both within the agency and at Boeing. Boeing's last all-new jet, the 787 Dreamliner, had to be grounded in 2013 when its battery smoldered in flight. The next plane, the derivative of the 737 MAX, was grounded for 21 months starting in 2019 after flawed new flight controls caused 2 fatal crashes. I wouldn't call that flight controls, but nobody asked me. Anyway, so there we have it. Kind of not very good news for the Boeing out there in Seattle, or I guess they're based in, or they're headquartered in Chicago. But what do you think, Rick?
No, I think it's fine. You got to get it right. You can't keep pushing these things through and getting the airplane out quickly for the sake of optics and for the sake of getting it to the customers, and then having some kind of major event happen, and then have to walk the whole thing back and kind of start over, hurting the brand and the credibility, not only of of Boeing as a company, but of the FAA as a regulatory agency. And so, oftentimes you just have to pace yourself and just slowly but surely here. And I've been reading a lot about Emirates and how they feel about this whole debacle, and they're not happy, and I don't blame them. I mean, no. Boeing promised a product on a certain date, and they didn't come through. And I think that as much of a Boeing advocate that I've been through my whole career here, it's just you have to sometimes shine the spotlight where it needs to be shown, and you got to do things right.
That Emirates CEO never shies away from telling it as it is and how he feels about it, and I think that's a good thing for the industry, for somebody like him to say, look, and it hasn't just been Boeing. I mean, they've had issues with Airbuses as well. And that he's kind of put his foot down and said, no, we're not accepting delivery of this because this is what you promised us and it's not meeting the expectations that we had, and go back and fix it and then we'll take it. And so.
Exactly right.
All right. Well, with that, let's do a little bit of catching up with each other, getting to know us, that segment of the show where we talk about what everybody's been up to between episodes. And since we didn't get a chance to hear from you last week, Rick, let's go ahead and hear what's going on, man.
Well, been back at work for the last week or so. I spent 4th of July in Hawaii, the layover there in Honolulu. So I had more than my standard 32 plus hour layover. I was there for a healthy 3.5 days, which was
Wow.
nice. So, just
Very
got
pleasant.
to, yeah, very, 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 very pleasant indeed. I had, got to go out and, do my usual thing, just go for my run. I like to go up Diamond Head there, the little peak on the edge of the island there. And then, just enjoy the ocean and the sun. It was really nice weather there. So, I did that during the 4th of July. Well, interestingly enough, there weren't any fireworks in Honolulu
What?
to mark 4th of July because of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole other story.
What does that have to do with it?
Exactly.
Excuse
Wow.
me.
So bless
Speaking
you.
of fireworks,
Man.
So sadly no fireworks display, and that kind of put a dampener on things, and so flew back out to Southern California, and then back out to Honolulu. I was supposed to be with you all last week, and had a bit of a technical issue. I couldn't get the internet connection to work. So that didn't work, and but just basically been doing out and backs between Southern California and Honolulu. Doing my last one for the period tomorrow out of Riverside, and heading back home on Friday. So that's been put an end to the out and backs for a little while. So rest of the month off.
Oh, loved your crew log you did, by the way. It sounded great.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Very good.
Crew logs, by the way, if you want to become part of our coffee fund cadre or coffee bar club, as Nick likes to call it, and become a patron of the show at patreon.com/airlinepilotguy, you have access to our crew logs. And so you should check that out. It's one of the perks of being part of the club. And both Nick and Rick very recently, in just the last few days, submitted new crew logs. So,
although mine are not as produced as Nick. Nick puts a lot of effort. And,
I've got more time
into the production.
Nobody can,
I'm retired.
match
I've got-
that.
No, all the
absolutely
time.
not. Absolutely not. I just kind of something gets in my head, and I'm like, oh, this will be interesting.
Yeah,
so
that's good. That's what we want.
So
a stream of consciousness, so to speak. And you learn, you school us and you learn us on a lot of different things.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I hope that you'll enjoy your time off. How much time do you have between the next?
So till the end of the month, we have a lot of things going on in Phoenix. We're getting ready to list the house, looking for a new place down in Florida. So doing that,
Wow.
and then when I get back home on Friday, I have to deal with contractors and painters and flooring people and all sorts of stuff. So it's going to be a busy couple of days, and then realtors and all sorts of things. But
yeah, it's fun.
But
hey, when you have you found a place in Florida yet?
A couple of places, yeah, a couple of places.
Do they have like extra like guest rooms and stuff?
No, absolutely.
Oh, excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I'll be.
You are, and RV parking as well. So,
good.
And I'm serious. A lot of these places do have RV parking. So,
Excellent.
Yeah,
50 amps, man. Oh, no, 30. I think I'll just need 30.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I can't wait to hear the journey. And sorry to hear you're going to be working hard, but it sounds like it'll be worth it.
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, Nick, sir, how have you been?
Not good, sadly.
Oh.
Very sadly. Yeah, I'm suffering from a bad back right now, and pretty heavily junked up now because it's got quite serious. And I mean, I'm actually having trouble just walking. So I can't sit at the computer for very long either. So Yeah, things not brilliant. Hoping that will be sorted before too long. I'm seeing physiotherapists and consulting with my doctors, but there you go. That's life.
We'll need to dispatch Captain Dr. Steph.
That would be a nice idea.
Head out
Just
there
say she could stab me in the back.
Yeah.
You mean?
Give you a couple jabs in the back.
I'm sure that'll fix it.
Literally.
Funny enough, this all kicked off when I was flying the F-18. That airplane's got a raked seat. It leans back quite a lot, which, a lot of us have back problems because when you try and look behind you, you actually have to pull hard against the shoulder straps, lean forward, and then twist your body. Because if you look back in a rake position when you're leaning back, you actually are looking back and down, which is no good when you want to look inside the circle because the guy's usually above you. So you end up with a bent back, twisting under lots of G. And quite a few of us. That's when it all kicked off.
Wasn't the F-16? Was the F-16 the first fighter that had that reclining kind of position?
I believe so. Yeah. A lot of aircraft have it to one degree or another, but the F-18 wasn't quite as raked as the F-16, but it was enough for you to have to, twist, lean forward and twist, and that was not really good for your back.
I'm wondering if you know, or if anybody knows, did they kind of continue with that sort of reclining seat with the new generation of jets like the F-22 and F-35?
Doesn't look like the I've seen the F-35 pretty close up. Doesn't look like it's got much of a rate, which is fine. They thought about it because they thought, well, if we reduce the vertical distance between your heart and your head, that means that you've got better G tolerance. But actually, you have to go quite a long way back for that to have any true effect. You're much actually better off using one of the other techniques like, a better G suit, better training, better muscular control and ability to, tense your body up in an anti-G maneuver and, even in artificially inflating the lungs, because that's another thing. If you lean back too much, the lungs rest on the back of the rib cage and compress the alveoli there, which rather negates the slight advantage you get from tilting back because your lungs aren't working as efficiently. You can overcome that by increasing the pressure of air that you're being fed into your lungs, a bit like using a respirator through your mask. But it all gets a bit complicated, and I don't know enough about it to really be able to say. All I know was it hurt my back.
Yeah, and that
I know what it is. You're just too damn tall to be flying fighters now.
That's
true too.
Exactly right. That was another problem.
Should be like me, 5'8", 5'9".
You'd be perfect.
Pounds.
Actually, your build would be ideal. You'd be spinning around at 9G, going, "Oh, come on, give me some more."
Lots of beer, lots of burgers, high blood pressure is what you want.
Exactly.
That's right. Yes. So not very comfortable at the moment, and I'm not looking forward to getting out of this chair because that's when it kind of hits. Anyway, seeing lots of specialists, so hopefully they'll sort something out. More importantly, to do with aviation, I've just been trying out my laptop connected up to the background tonight because tomorrow I'm giving a little talk to the Yorkshire Aviation Society.
That's I think we have something like a little teaser here.
This is them.
Yeah, hang on. All right. There we go.
This is Captain Boycott speaking. During the flight, we'll be flying at whatever height I like for as long as I bloody like, because I'm captain, right?
That's my standard PA. And of course, the yoke with the beer tap, the ale tap is perfect.
Brilliant.
Love it.
Exactly right. Yeah. I actually, I even put some Yorkshire in my script as a welcome. So, they're notoriously a hard audience, but I'm sure being aviation folk, they'll give me a bit of a break being a southerner. Anyway, that's for tomorrow night. I wanted to say special thanks to Ethan Allen. I don't know if he's listening, but it was his idea that gave me the germ of a thought to produce tonight's Plain Tale. Oh. So that's big thanks to him for sending in ideas. And I do get lots of ideas from people, and I can't use many of them because it's either like too much work, or they're not, I can't find enough information quickly enough about an event or an aircraft or whatever. But I do appreciate people who send in ideas, and thank you very much for that.
And Ethan loved the furniture. It's really high quality stuff.
Yeah. Great stuff. I love it. I've got some of your stuff at home. I don't know how love your designs.
Yeah, it's a thing over here in the U.S. Ethan Allen makes traditional, very high quality traditional furniture.
Oh, right. Okay.
Homes.
Okay. Yeah. So he'd probably be the mouse man of America.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
The Mouseman is still a famous furniture maker, and his signature was to carve a little mouse on some part of the item of furniture. And he became the Mouseman.
I like that. A little
very cool.
Card. Very nice.
Very cool.
So if Nick needs to depart due to his back, we'll have.
Okay. So Liz is saying that if you need to depart because of your back, and what was the last part?
Feel free.
Feel free, she said. She's given you. You may be excused if you would like, but we're going to be doing the Plain Tale, right? And you probably want to say something.
I'm going to stick around for a little bit. Okay. And during the Plain Tale, I might turn everything off and back on again, see if I can get rid of that background noise.
Okay.
Not that it'll help you, but it'd be nice for me to know what it is.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So, and for me, nothing new. Haven't flown since the last Rapid City trip. And right now, I will not be scheduled to fly anything until next month. Kind of a personal issue that I'm going through, and that's all I will say about that. And next up is the Coffee Fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. All right, that is Jeff Smith singing the APG version of the Java Jive. And the Coffee Fund, the Coffee Fund Cadre, the Coffee Bar Club is your way to support the show financially. And a couple different ways to do that. One is the Coffee Fund Classic method, which is basically a PayPal donation page. And again, I mean, it was just, I think the last show that we mentioned Mazoots, and he came through again, another generous donation. Thank you very much, Mazoots, for your support of our show. And the other way to support us is to use or become a patron of the show via Patreon. And we had several of you join us as new patrons, and there actually is one more. And I didn't have a chance to add you to the list, young man. So you will be on next show. But for this show, we have two new producers, Spencer Stutzman and Derek Smith. And we have two new executive producers, Tom Seagraves and James Mack. So thank you for joining the Patreon and becoming patrons. And if you want to join this great group of folks, you can head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee and learn all about it. You'll be glad you did, and we will too.
Captain, incoming message.
Oh, look what we have here. We have some audio feedback to start off our feedback for this week's show, and it's from Landon. So take it away, Landon.
Hey guys, this is Landon from the left coast. I'm not sure how long this is going to be. And I don't care because, I don't know. I've just been doing a lot of thinking. As we all know, we lost someone, as Max Trescott put it, larger than life on July 4th. And it was a massive, massive blow to my mind. And I know if it's a massive blow to my mind, it's a massive blow to everyone else in the aviation podcast community, maybe just even the podcast community as a whole. One thing that Max Trescott said in Aviation News Talk podcast, which is the only podcast that I've been able to listen to thus far since finding out about losing Launchpad, is that he was larger than life. And damn it, let me tell you, he absolutely was when I first met him in Oshkosh in 2019. First thing I said to him, I was like, you're Launchpad. And I was starstruck. And he was like, yeah, I am. I was like, I listen to you all the time. And you are really, really huge. And we just, hit it off from there. And then he's like, you're going to be coming to Potapalooza, right? I was like, yeah, I guess I am. Good. It was great. I met up with the APG crew, met up with a lot of other folks that were a part of the APG crew and just the aviation podcast community from all over the world. That's where we all met, right there at the Pipistrel booth, Potapalooza. That was a great, great, great time. And Launchpad put that together, and it was absolutely wonderful. It made my day. It made my whole entire trip, just as it made everybody else's trip in the summer of 2019 at Oshkosh, EAA AirVenture. And I was looking forward to meeting up again at Potapalooza in Oshkosh and meeting up with Launchpad. Because on July 4th, I was listening to the Airplane Geeks and listening to how awesome his interview was about how Red Bull Air Racing is coming back. Not going to be Red Bull, but it's coming back, air racing. And the interview was just awesome that he did. I mean, it just brought so much joy. And he's just so excited about aviation, all the same as we are. Grown man, just like us, and women, sorry, gender neutral. Just so excited about flying. And he was a breath of fresh air. He was a breath of fresh air, even meeting him in person and even listening to him on podcasts without even meeting him in person. He's a breath of fresh air. And it's just so saddening knowing that he's gone. And I have several other episodes left to catch up to Airplane Geeks podcast. And I am not in the mood to listen right now because I know that I'm going to hear his voice and it hurts. That my time, the chances of hearing his voice are just limited. And then it got me thinking about podcasting in the aviation community as a whole. How important, how impactful you all are to all of us listeners across the globe. It's devastating that Launchpad is gone. And it would be devastating if we lose any of the rest of you all. Especially the two individuals that, in my opinion, started aviation podcasting. Captain Jeff and Max Flight. And the co-hosts that we all listen to that are near and dear to our hearts. How devastating it would be to know that we would lose all of you. And I want you to know that I'm speaking on behalf of all the podcast listeners across the world, that we love you all from the bottom of our hearts, because you guys have created gold. I shouldn't even say gold. It's platinum. What you guys have all created. And Max Flight, thank you for bringing us Brad Launchpad Marzari. Thank you. On behalf of all the podcast listeners, thank you. And it's tough. It's really tough to do this. It's going to be tough listening to the podcasts in the future. We'll get through it. We'll all get through it. But it's just going to be tough for a little while. But I'm going to send this to all of our podcasts that we all listen to. All of us. And this goes out to each and all of the co-hosts and aviation podcasters. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all that you have done, all that you do, and all that you will do for us. And we appreciate you all. Landon from the left coast, signing off.
Wow. Thank you, Landon, for taking the time to record that. You could just hear it in your voice. It was not easy for you to do that, but thank you for expressing yourself in that way. And, as much and important as you think that we podcasters are, we couldn't do this without people that want to listen to what we're saying. And it's you, Landon, and others like you in the community that really are the important factor in all of this. And thank you again for sending that expression of grief and mourning into the show.
Yep. Very well said, Landon.
Yeah, absolutely. That was very, very deep. And I second Jeff on that. It's like a flight crew and a dispatcher, kind of 50-50 here, where we don't go anywhere without you.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it does rest on you. And so we thank you for that.
Yeah. And your feedback. That's what really makes, that's really what makes this show is all the feedback that we get from you all out there in the community, and keep sending it in, even as difficult as it may be, like this one from Landon. Main Man Micah says, please let the listeners know to check out Airplane Geeks episode 660, where we give a tribute to Launchpad, and also a new story about Launchpad will be featured on this week's episode, number 661. So we'll put a link in the show notes for you all to check all that out. Yeah.
So Landon also sent another piece of feedback.
Yeah, so Landon sent in another piece of feedback, not quite so down.
No.
And let's see, let me get to it here and hit the play button. Okay, why is it not working? Okay, here we go.
Hello, APG. It's Landon from the left coast. Hello, Captain Jeff, Nick, Steph, and Miami Rick. All right. So all I have to say is I don't have much to say, but I have something to say, which is, hey, Miami Rick, I keep forgetting that you fly into Stockton. I used to live in Stockton. So let me know next time you're coming out, and I'll come fly out there and I'll pick you up. All right. You're the only APG host I have not had a chance to meet yet. So yeah. All right. That is all.
Okay. Well, there you go. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Oh,
Rick?
absolutely. Yeah. I've got a Stockton layover coming up in August, and I'll reach out to you here, and we'll line something up. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Would love to meet you.
Yeah, Landon's a rock solid guy. Okay.
Skip into number 6 now. No, number 6.
Number 6. Okay, we're going to skip to 6. And this is some feedback from Jez. And he said, oh, you know what? I need to share this one too, because he is sharing something with us. He said, sorry to keep emailing these in. Perhaps I should follow Hillel's solicitations at the end of each broadcast to join him in Slack. Although I worry that is just his name for shower. Well, yeah, I think it might be. He probably is at home, says, hey, honey, I'll be back. I got to go take a Slack. Excuse me? All right.
Make him a slacker?
Yeah, that does make him a slacker. Anyway, I had a feeling you covered something about somebody resetting circuit breakers repeatedly before, but this is from Airbus's mouth. And then he sends us this link. I guess they're just trying to say, don't hit Control-Alt-Delete when airborne. And yeah, I guess this is a PDF from the Airbus Safety Magazine. System reset, use with caution. And we're not going to read this whole thing here because it'll take up a good portion of the show, but we're going to have this linked in the show notes. Did you have a chance to look at this, Captain Nick?
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with what's in it because in our QRH, we have several pages under computer resets, which address every single reset we can do and give us any limitations on the ground or in the air, guidance as to how long to pull the relevant circuit breaker or press the reset switch for. So it's all there in black and white, and it's not hard to follow, quite honestly. Some people, obviously, they get in the habit of doing resets. They don't bother to look, and you never know, something's changed or whatever. And the problem is if you get in the habit of just blithely doing resets, yes, you can get rid of the problem sometimes. Because what tends to happen is you get a momentary failure in a system, it'll flag up an error, the computer will display it. If you reset the computer, that bit of memory has gone. In some cases, not every case, sometimes it's a hard flag, and the computer will monitor again. And unless that problem reoccurs, you won't get a reoccurrence of the fault. But the fault actually might still be there. It's just that it doesn't happen very often. And it might be, something that really needs to be attended to. So, it just resetting the flight, the computers and deleting what is effectively a warning because you think, it's probably spurious. It's not always spurious. So not a good habit to get into, quite honestly.
Exactly. And if the circuit breaker popped, it's for a reason, so, but across platforms, whether it's a Boeing or an Airbus or whatever, the one circuit breaker you never reset are ones that are related to fuel systems or fuel pumps and stuff like that. So you leave those alone.
You don't want any arcing pumps in the old tank there.
Nope. You don't want any of that stuff. It'd be a bad idea, bad day. So yeah, it's circuit breakers. And as Captain Nick said, everything is, very, very black and white on the procedures on the quick reference handbook, and just follow those. And when something pops, write it up, so that if it's the first time it happens, write it up so that you start to establish a paper trail that maintenance can follow and establish a trend. And because that, sometimes it's really kind of hard to try to figure out what, where the problem is. And at the end of the day, these newer airplanes all have, central maintenance computers and they run their own diagnostics and all that. But oftentimes the problem can be, very, very well hidden and under layers and layers of subsystems. And so I guess the way to sometimes find what the problem is by seeing where the trend started and where it headed. And so, yeah, just circuit breaker pops, write it up, report it, and then let maintenance deal with it. 'Cause that's what they do. So.
And I must admit, it's all great advice, Rick. But if I get a problem, one of the things I always do is used to do, was go back in the logbook to see if that fault had been rewritten previously. And then I would make a note. This is the fifth occurrence of this fault. What I'm trying to avoid is the engineer doing a quick bite.
Oh, exactly.
No fault found. And, yes, signing it off again. Because if it's happened 4 or 5 times, then it needs to be looked at properly.
Exactly right, and that's actually one of the first things that we do when you get on the airplane. You do what's called a logbook review, and you'll not sit down, but you'll have a talk with maintenance, and they'll show you the logbook. They'll show you what they worked on, whether they did a transit check or a daily check. There's certain time constraints because these checks obviously expire. They need to be current. And then again, as Nick said, if you're going to establish any kind of trend regarding an item that keeps getting written up, then you obviously want to go back and see how far this problem goes, and so that you know what to expect if it happens again. Always, you're not going to take off with any open maintenance write-offs. That's just not the way it works. You need to apply procedures. You need to
unless the engineer has his thumb over that one.
Don't look here.
What's that?
Exactly. Well, what's that?
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, you never take off with any open maintenance write-ups ever. Before you take off, for you to be legal to go. There, exactly. Look, squirrel. Before you're legal to go, you need to refer to a document called the DDG, Dispatch Deviation Guide, and there's going to be a list of things that can be inoperative as long as it's written up and documented, and things that are not flight critical. And if that's the case, it's written up and it's deferred. These deferred items do have an expiration date as well, and as long as the deferred item is not expired as of yet, then you're legal to go. And so, but these are things that you look at when you sit down and actually do your logbook review. With sometimes can take a little bit of time because you have to be thorough with that. Because once the doors close and you're upstairs, you're on your own. So
is that all part of that pre-flight, pre-game kind of thing that you had a crew log on last time?
No, that was more of what I do at the hotel. Actually, my next crew log is going to deal with what happens when I get to the airplane.
Oh, okay.
So
look forward to that.
Working on that.
Okay, sweet. Okay, yeah. Become a patron so you can get these crew logs. All right. Let's see. Guess we're ready to shift over to. Is there some feedback from any geezers in the pile there? Is there? Okay. Yep. Let's see.
Number 7.
Oh, look at that, Larry. 50% accuracy rating. Is he talking about us? Let's see. Captain Jeff and crew, when you last buzzed through Tulsa, you mentioned the display at the airport gate reading a tad wonky. I replied that was the FIDS system, the Flight Information Display System. And even though I specified those when they did the concourse remodel a few years ago, I didn't have anything to do with their repair consultant,
Sure.
Yeah, right. Sounds like he's protesting too much. Anyway, well, I was wrong. They are the RIDS, the RIDS, Ramp Information System displays. However, a few days after the episode was published, June 22nd, about 1 p.m., I was having lunch with a couple of airport employees and just happened to mention them. So I drove them out to the ramp to get a good look from your perspective, and they were just a tad off. Oh, did I mention that one of the guys from the airport just happened to be the head honcho over all things electronic? He said he would get into the system and fix whatever was wrong. Several of the other gates were also back to the future. So next time you sneak in unannounced, they should be up over 50% accurate. Insert bell sound here. Oh, I wasn't ready for that. Okay, let me see if I can find the bell. No.
Rick Bell, he's in the chat room.
Oh, is he? Okay, there he is. No, not that bell. It's this bell. There we go.
That's the one.
Yeah. Anyway, T-38's Douglas. This is from Larry the Geezer. He's a PS lunch suggestion, whiteriverfishmarket.com. Okay, looking forward to it. So there's the Geezer himself at the controls, Captain Larry.
Nice picture, Larry. I'd get that truck to move before you take off.
Before you apply power.
Exactly. Yeah.
Looks like he's about ready to do that, though.
He does.
Yeah. And
here
so,
I go.
Okay, here's the RIDS system to which I was referring, 26 October 2036. That's what you agree to. No matter what day and what time it is, it's always like that. And here's one the way it's supposed to look on the 22nd of June, 2021.
Colors changed.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's obviously red in the future.
Yeah, I guess. And that's the designate. And when these things kind of cycle through, they'll say the gate identification and then the
so you call that the Warthog gate, do you?
Yeah, I guess that maybe they do. We'll have to ask Larry. Larry, did they call A10 the Warthog gate? We don't use A10. We use A4, I think. A6, A4, A2 maybe. But A4, I think, is the one that I always use. Welcome to Tulsa sign, 26 October. Some more pictures here. A8. And there you go. Back to the future. So, yeah, I look forward to checking it out, inspecting that next time I'm in Tulsa, Larry. So thanks for getting on that.
You use the Skyhawk gate versus the Warthog gate.
Yeah. I guess you can. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but you are correct, sir. Okay. And let's see. We have a little YouTube video on this one. Number 8. Okay. Now y'all can see this, right? Okay. Nick, you're going to enjoy this one, I think. From Vass Aviation. Real Aviation Communications.
Seabird 193 Heavy, we are visual.
Seabird 193 Heavy, clear visual approach, runway 18 left.
Pigeons approach 18 left, Seabird 193 Heavy.
Right. Seabird 183 Heavy, have a happy treason day and connect tower 124.15.
134.15, Seabird 193 Heavy, happy 4th.
Today.
Okay.
Treason day, yes, we love it.
This is from Rob. He said, hello, crew, DFW controller having some fun, and I figured I'd share. Nick will enjoy. And that's Rob Legal. Tailwinds.
Remember, everybody, it's not treason if you win.
Is that right? I don't know. Is that the legal definition?
I'm not
it's only,
sure
only
about
treason
that
if you, it's only treason if you lose.
Okay.
You've got about 10 minutes to the hour and a half.
Liz tells us we have about 10 minutes to the point where we're going to play the plane tale. So in the meantime, we're going to do some more feedback, and I'm going to share again. Okay. This is the pilots who risk their lives flying tiny planes over the Atlantic from BBC News. And this is from somebody named Liz. Wonder who that might be.
Very suspicious.
Pilot Dave Henderson. I must admit, it's a bit addictive, really. Oh, is he talking about our podcast?
Of course.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yep.
Ferry flying is a lucrative but high-risk industry. Elite pilots deliver small planes across oceans and continents, distances these aircraft were not designed to fly. Flying alone across the Atlantic Ocean in a tiny single-engine plane at low altitude, sometimes in extreme weather conditions, is not for the faint-hearted. Things can and do go wrong. The ferry flying industry is a close-knit band of aviators, some of whom have carried out hundreds or even thousands of flights, delivering newly sold or repaired small planes to remote destinations. And the writer of this article continues, my father was a ferry pilot. As a child, my life was dominated by aviation school holidays. Oh, wait, no, dominated by aviation. School holidays were for planes and flying. And if you want to read the rest of the article, we'll have a link to that in, well, if you're using Apple's podcasts or Google Podcasts or Overcast or any of most of the popular podcast devices on phones, you'll see that you can click on the title there and the link, and it will take you to this article as well. So again, from BBC News. Thank you, Liz, for that feedback.
You're welcome, Jeff.
That's very good stuff, isn't it? I mean, in the old days, when I first got into the aviation industry, I remember they were converting Beaver to fly across to Canada by fitting, great big internal additional fuel tanks, like great big plastic bags, and there was a hand pump the guy had to use.
Beaver.
Yeah, to get this fuel to shift from this big plastic bag up into the wings. And it all looked a bit Heath Robinson. And I suppose in those days, the risks were extremely high. But I'm just going to say, no disrespect to these guys, but nowadays they've got, satellite imagery, they've got satellite radio communications as well as radio communications. They've got all the forecasts up the yin yang. I think they take a lot of the concerns out of it, and as well as having satellites overhead that'll pick up your emergency locator beacon if you go down. It is a lot safer, but there's still no taken away from the fact that single engine aircraft across some pretty hostile terrain for thousands of miles is no mean feat.
No,
absolutely. And it's interesting because these smaller type airplanes don't, as you said, don't have the range or the equipment required to fly the proper North Atlantic track system. And so a lot of these older, I wonder if these smaller type airplanes use the Blue Spruce route system.
I'm assuming so. Although, I mean, that was really designed around the beacons that were available as well, because if you lost your navigation, you could still go that route and use VORs. So they probably got GPS and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think you'd need to, because you've really got to. There's only a certain number of airfields en route to go to, and you're going to have to pop into most of them to refuel, aren't you?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And of course, I suspect they're under a certain amount of commercial pressure to make sure that they deliver on time. If the weather's looking a bit dodgy, well, shall I go? Shall I not? Things change quickly up in that part of the world,
Oh, yeah.
And they mention that place that I call Sunderstrong Field, Narsarsuaq. How do you pronounce that? Do you know?
Sorry, sack.
Sorry, sack.
Not sack.
Is that what she said?
I can't say what Liz just said.
Well, I never could pronounce that, so I always call it Sunderstrong Field.
Yeah.
And actually, that was one of our emergency diversions. If we had a major fire or something, couldn't go anywhere else, we'd try and throw it into Sunderstrong Field. But looking at the approach plates and all the restrictions, it would have been a pretty impressive thing to take a big airliner in there.
Yeah.
Not only that, but there's we do fly over portions of Greenland, both on the 7.6 and the 7.4 fleet, and it's interesting because over some portions of Greenland, in particular, where you to have some kind of pressurization problem, you can't just pop down to 10,000 feet because you do run into a fairly high terrain around there, so you do have to take into account pressurization escape routes, and so that kind of gives you an idea of how unforgiving the terrain is up in those latitudes. And usually with unforgiving terrain comes unforgiving weather, and so I can't imagine having to ferry a small airplane from one place, from one continent to the other, and having to deal with all that kind of weather and then the time pressure and all that. So,
absolutely,
quite interesting.
Apparently, beavers don't have wing anks. So
it's supposed to be wing yanks.
I guess they were pumping it somewhere else at the time, Lane. I was like 19 at the time, and I didn't really know a lot about flying back then. So forgive me if I don't get the position of the wing anks properly.
Yeah, well, you're talking about 1912. So yeah,
around that.
Aviation started in 1903. So yeah.
Oh man. Hey, Liz sent us another piece of feedback. I think Liz didn't think we were going to have enough feedback for the day show. Anyway, so let's see. Let me get over here to this and say we had such an upbeat, optimistic item last show regarding the aviation recovery in the U.S. I thought this article would be an interesting contrast regarding what the situation is in other parts of the world. So you're going to have to bring us down now, huh, Liz? Okay.
Yeah.
Qantas international pilots have revealed the significant toll extended periods without flying is taking on their mental health. I mean, their mental health wasn't good to begin with, and now it's worse. While other parts of the airline group expands domestic services. The anguish facing long-haul pilots who have been stood down has been aired internally on the airline's online communication system, Yammer, in response to Qantas executive John Gissing last month seeking to start a conversation about Men's Health Week. In their comments, the pilots laid bare the impact a seemingly endless stand down is having on their lives, warning that the worry that breeds from uncertainty is palpable. Here's a nice picture of a Qantas A380 Super Jumbo parked up at the storage facility in California last year. The Herald obtained the messages on the basis that it did not name the pilots in order to respect their mental health. One pilot, who was close to 500 days without flying, said he rarely slept through the night and was usually awake between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. The financial hit has been significant, but it pales in comparison to the mental hit. The worry that breeds from uncertainty is palpable, he wrote. The uncertainty eats at you every day. It clouds your thinking. It affects your decisions and corrodes relationships. He warned the mental effects will be significant, and international crew felt abandoned as other parts of Qantas expanded while they faced a seemingly endless period of stand down. Qantas has added 45 routes to its domestic network since the start of the pandemic, as the airline group seeks to gain market share vacated by its trimmed-down rival Virgin Australia. But most of Qantas's international flying has been halted due to the government's COVID-19 restrictions. And again,
It's last time I was in Sydney was October of last year, and it was pretty bad down there. I'm talking, being tested several times before you even leave the airport, and then you were escorted to a hotel on airport property, and you're in a hotel room for the duration of your layover under guard, and that's just international cruise. I mean, it's interesting how the Sydney layover used to be one of the most senior trips, and now nobody wants it, and I don't blame them. It's no way to spend a layover, particularly in a place so beautiful as beautiful as Sydney. So, but hey,
let's hope that things improve quickly.
Yeah,
and we
fingers
get
crossed.
Everybody back on track.
I've got a lot of friends who I made while I was serving out with the Australian Air Force who moved into Qantas. And, for some of them, life has been absolutely dire. So I really do feel for them. I hope Qantas gets back on their feet and they'll get their jobs back, but no guarantee, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yes.
Right there now.
Well, thanks again, Liz, for sending in that very upbeat and positive feedback. Anyway,
so welcome.
It is now, speaking of upbeat and positive, well, maybe not, this week's installment of the old
very upbeat.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll be the judge of that.
Oh, okay.
This week's Old Pilot's Plain Tale entitled Defending the Baltic Express. Take it away, Old Pilot.
The Old Pilot's Plain Tales, Defending the Baltic Express. The SR-71 was by far the most impressive but secret spy plane used during the Cold War. Defenseless, it relied on its unmatched performance to provide vital data for the USA and NATO on some of the most sensitive parts of the globe. One was a regular mission flown out of a base in the United Kingdom, RAF Mildenhall, east across the North and Baltic Seas towards the territories of the Soviet Union. These flights were known as the Baltic Express. The Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird was developed as a black project known as Oxcart. The Lockheed A-12 aircraft, codenamed Archangel, designed by Lockheed Skunk Works, was based on the designs of Kelly Johnson and built for the Central Intelligence Agency. The A-12, named that because it was the 12th in a series of design efforts, was ahead of its time, the early 60s, in many ways. A large proportion of the airframe was constructed from titanium, the acquisition of which involved a great deal of subterfuge, since it was being purchased from the Soviets, the very place that the A-12 would be spying on. Although the SR-71 was based on the A-12, it was built for the United States Air Force and NASA. A bomber version was envisaged, but it was only ever used in the reconnaissance role. Both longer and heavier than the A-12 to accommodate additional sensors, cameras, and a sideways-looking radar, it held more fuel and a second crew member. It came into service in 1968, and apart from its low radar cross-section, inbuilt electronic countermeasures, its only defense against missiles launched against it was to accelerate and outfly the threat. Although its design speed was Mach 3.2, pilot Brian Schul flew faster than usual to avoid multiple interception attempts. Afterwards, it was discovered that this had actually made the engine more efficient by reducing fuel consumption. It used a special cesium-based fuel to reduce the radar visibility of its exhaust fumes, and as of 2020, it still remains the fastest air-breathing manned aircraft ever built. The Blackbird was deployed to the United Kingdom in 1976, from which it flew two main routes. One was up the west coast of Norway and along the Soviet Kola Peninsula, which contains several large naval bases of the Soviets' Northern Fleet. The other route, across the North Sea, over Denmark, and around the Baltic Sea, which also contained many coastal military bases of interest, returning along the thin stretch of airspace between Öland and Gotland, both of which were part of Sweden, a neutral country. This was the Baltic Express. In 1949, Sweden chose not to join NATO and declared a policy of remaining non-aligned during peacetime and neutral in war. However, don't ever confuse Sweden's status as one that was brought about by pacifism. At the end of World War II, the Swedish Air Force had over 800 combat-ready aircraft, and it then underwent a rapid modernization program, choosing the best aircraft it could find from abroad. It equipped with the P-51D Mustang fighter and the de Havilland Mosquito NF-19 night fighter before moving into the jet age with the de Havilland Vampire. The Swedish military soon realized that they needed even stronger defenses to counter the threat presented by their near neighbor, the Soviet Union, and in the closing months of the war, the Saab team began working on 2 proposals for jet fighters. After getting their hands on some German research data, the winning design, codenamed the R1001, was altered from a straight-wing layout to a 25-degree sweep. Belying its chubby looks, the Saab 29 first flew in 1948 and proved to be both fast and agile. Nicknamed the Tunnen, the Barrel, it set a world record speed of 607 miles an hour on a closed circuit, and by 1956, 661 J-29s had been built. Later versions were fitted with reheated engines and Sidewinder missiles, and although they were retired from operational service in 1965, they continued to fly in other roles until 1970. Throughout the Cold War, Sweden went on to equip its air force with modern and very capable aircraft until it became the 4th largest in the world. It possessed over 4,000 aircraft, out of which no less than 3,574 were armed fighters, with many hundred more in the bomber role. During the period of the Cold War, they produced 2 of the most beautiful and recognizable fighters in the world, the Saab Draken and the Viggen. The Draken, best known for its amazing double-swept Delta planform, claimed many firsts. It was the first Western European-built combat aircraft with a true supersonic capability to enter service, and also the first to be deployed. It was, although this is slightly less clear, the first double-delta winged combat design to have been drawn up in the early 1950s. It was also the first aircraft known to have performed the Cobra maneuver, and the first West European-produced aircraft to exceed Mach 2 in level flight. The role of the Draken was that of an all-weather interceptor, although its design made it more than capable of dogfighting. Originally planned to reach around Mach 1.5, by 1956 that was revised to Mach 1.8, and by 1959 it was fully capable of reaching Mach 2. The Draken was given the capability of working out of semi-prepared strips like public roads, carrying all the equipment needed to shoot down modern jet bombers. It could also be rearmed and refueled by minimally trained conscripts in less than 10 minutes. This Mach 2 fighter, with a ceiling of 66,000 feet, was, with its splendid body, for anti-fire controlled radar, sidewinders, and 30mm Aden cannons, a formidable foe, and it could also carry the RB-27 missile. This remarkable weapon, built by Hughes and known in the United States as the AIM-26 Falcon, was a semi-active radar-guided missile carrying the W-54 nuclear warhead. As impressive as the Draken was, it was superseded by the equally striking Mach 2 plus capable Saab 37 Viggen. The Viggen also had a few firsts, being the first canard-designed fighter to be built in any quantity, and by many it was considered the most advanced European-built fighter jet until the arrival of the Panavia Tornado. Designed in the late 50s, the Viggen incorporated a weapon system which was integrated into the country's national electronic air defense system. It became the standard platform for all roles: air defense, reconnaissance, maritime patrol, and ground attack, making it a true strike fighter. It had a sophisticated head-up display and initially iron instruments, but later versions would be fitted with 3 multi-purpose CRT displays. Had a full suite of sensors, including a monopulse radar with air-to-air, air-to-ground, and terrain avoidance modes, as well as a look-down, shoot-down capability for the British Skyflash missiles it carried. Like the Draken, the Viggen was toughened to withstand operations from remote strips, and it was simple to maintain, rearm and refuel, and with 7 underwing hardpoints, it could carry a variety of weapons for its mix of roles. In addition to its internal Oerlikon 30mm cannon, it could be loaded with Skyflash, AIM-120 AMRAAMs, Sidewinders, rocket pods, anti-ship missiles, anti-surface missiles, including the AGM-65 Maverick, fragmentation bombs, explosive mines. The list is impressive and long. Saab built 329 of this incredible aircraft, and it remained in service until 2007. The Swedish air defense system was well aware of the Baltic Express missions that the SR-71s would fly, since at their peak they were occurring almost weekly. Although the United States Air Force aircraft remained out of Swedish airspace, the Viggen pilots would actually practice intercepts on them, and it was great practice for the integrated air defense system that existed in Sweden. There was little chance of getting in behind the Blackbirds, but they could be engaged head-on. However, it took very careful planning. The Air Operations Center would give the pilot warning to accelerate to exactly the right height and speed, and when to initiate a pull-up to acquire radar contact. The pilot had only one chance, and then, with a closing speed of around Mach 5, it would be too late. On some occasions, the Viggen radar would be countered by the Blackbird's electronic defense systems, but the Swedes learned to avoid triggering those defenses. It was an extremely impressive spectacle to watch on radar from the ground. The intercept window was incredibly tight, and all the SR-71 pilot really needed to do was maneuver just slightly, and the intercept solution would change and the practice attack fail. One of the main problems facing the Viggen pilots was that one of the rules in their orders for safe flights stipulated that flights above 52,000 feet were prohibited without the use of full pressure suits, and those weren't available, so their pilots needed to be careful or they would be grounded by their divisional commanders. So it wasn't a complete surprise on the 29th of June 1987 when Viggen fighter pilots Roger Miller and Calista Huerberry were directed away from their training mission to intercept an intruder near their airspace. One of the pilots said that his fighter controller asked him if he was able to make an interception and identification of a certain interest. He immediately thought it must be an SR-71, otherwise he wouldn't have mentioned it. The Blackbird had been flying a Baltic Express mission, gathering imagery of key Soviet bases around the Baltic Sea at a heightened speed that only this remarkable spy plane could reach, when the crew, Lieutenant Colonels Duane Knoll and Tom Veltri, suffered a massive failure of one of their Pratt & Whitney J58-1